Welcome everyone to the Proven Knowledge Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Church. I'm a music producer from Northeast Ohio. I began this weekly interview series to give you different perspectives from artists, producers, engineers, and other individuals in the music industry. In each episode, we touch on not only what has helped the person succeed, but we also touch on what has shaped them into the person that they are today. I hope you're able to gain some real proven knowledge from the show, and that it helps elevate you on your own journey to success as well. Let's get into it. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 319 here on the Proven Knowledge Podcast. Continuing the run of Ohio artists, today I welcome Dayton, Ohio native and artist TINO to the show. Discovered TINO about a year and a half ago after tapping in with people like Jive Sire, past guest on this show, everybody else in Hen House, Don Johnson, K Carter, all those individuals. And TINO always stood out to me because he is very multifaceted. He's in a band. He's done collab work with K Carter in a group called Safe Money. And then he does his own solo work as well. But he has always been someone that I could tell was influenced by different genres. And someone that's not afraid to take risks creatively. We had some really awesome discussion points today. We talked about the blog era, which we've discussed before, the differences between that time, which around 2009 is when TINO kind of got inspired by artists like Big Crit to pursue his career as an artist. And he talked about the differences between, that time period to now, where a lot of it is almost like a rat race. There's oversaturation in DSPs, social media in general. There's pressure on artists to post a lot, multiple times a day. And he talked about being able to keep everything that he does within the scope of his overall vision and just overall what he wants to do as an independent artist and the freedom he has as an independent artist to do different things. He talked about being able to go over to France to work with producer DJ Martin. They did a couple of different projects. We talked about, DJ Martin originally reaching out to him, and he didn't really know what to think of it at the time. But because of that connection and because of that initial outreach from DJ Martin, it led to a life-changing experience. And it's something that he not only enjoyed doing, but he's looking to keep going overseas in the future, keep expanding his brand, his sound, experimenting with different genres and styles. And it's going to be great to see what TINO does for the rest of this year and moving forward. And I'm definitely excited to be officially connected with him now. And I look forward to connecting with him via conversation and different ways of working together real soon. So as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. And without further ado, let's get into it. Well, this is episode 319. Last week we had Dom Deshawn, Columbus artist, on. And this week we're continuing the run of Ohio artists, headed back to Dayton today. And I want to welcome TINO to the show. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I didn't know you had Dom on. That episode must not be up yet.
No, last week.
I got to check that one out.
Yeah, it'll be out here in probably 3 weeks' time. So, yeah, I'm excited to get that one going. But I've been excited for this one too, man. And thank you so much for joining me. And we usually have the guests kind of start out by kind of giving a brief synopsis. How did you get into music? A little bit about the origins of you and what you do.
It's pretty boring. I was on vacation in Florida for a destination wedding for a friend, and I was dealing with a lot of emotional stuff that I really hadn't been processing or talking to anybody with. And I was listening to, at the time, I think it was Crit Was Here, the Big Crit album, mixtape. I guess it later became an album. But Big Crit Was Here, or Crit Was Here mixtape. And while I was sitting in the hotel room or the condo that we had rented, all of a sudden these emotions that I was having started to manifest themselves in the song lyrics as I was listening to this album. And that's kind of how my writing process has always been, because I never had, that's how it used to be. I never had production myself. So I would listen to these things, these records that I was inspired by, and then all of a sudden I start writing a verse. And that's just kind of how the music stuff manifested itself.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact year that came out. I want to say that was what, 2014, 2013. Is it somewhere in there?
Crit was here had to have been 2009
Oh, even further
because
back.
that
Wow.
was the when I was that was when I was on vacation at that time. And I think because that was what I thought Crit, Wale, J. Cole, and Drake were going to save hip hop because they were doing this. All of them had like this lyrical side, but they had the commercial records as well as the records that felt like they were from like the from like the late '90s
Mhm.
sound as well because they grew up on the guys like Jay-Z and Nas, and they were fans of Kanye and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So I was like, oh yeah, hip hop is saved once these guys get big because that was a blog era
Yeah.
uh, mixtape drop.
Yeah. Do you ever listen to the Blog Era podcast by chance? Do you ever check that
I
out?
have not listened to the blog era podcast.
Oh
No, I've
man,
not.
it was great. That podcast kind of indirectly, well, the people that made that podcast kind of indirectly inspired this show right here. It's two guys, two brothers that live in Brooklyn, and they're called It's the Real. And they've made a lot of different hip hop content over the years. They've interviewed a lot of people. Like they interviewed Travis Scott before he was big, like in 2011, people like that. So that's kind of a cool connection to what we do here, but we've talked about the blog era a lot on this show too. And you said 2009, that was almost 20 years ago at this point, which is hard to believe. So I guess I want to ask you, like, what do you think has changed the most for you as an artist in your journey since back then when you first heard that Crit mixtape and you were like, wow, I have this inspiration. Let me see what I can do with it. What do you think has been the biggest change you've seen since that moment all the way until now?
If we're talking about culturally, the biggest thing I've seen since then was you didn't like the blog era was you felt like was a spaceship that you could take to catapult your career into like the stratosphere,
Mhm.
and now that thing has become kind of people trying to go viral through like social media, TikToks and reels and stuff like that. So the blog era kind of it became it was this thing that if you were a major label artist, if you were an independent artist, you could submit to Tube Dope Boys, you could submit to DJ Booth, you could submit to Refine Hype, and these there would be living human beings that would review your submissions, and then they would either decide to run your stuff or not. And then sometimes a smaller publication would run your stuff, and I got a song picked up by Smoking Section that was on the same page with MF Doom and Blue, and I was like, this is insane on a song that I had put out on SoundCloud. So like,
Yeah.
back then it felt like a wild wild west, but you feel like you had some kind of agency in it all. I mean. You have some level of agency with the content creation space as well.
Mhm.
And you have to be consistent, but back then it seemed like you didn't have to have a million followers. You could literally just be making some dope art, and somebody be like, "Man, I'm gonna take a chance on this guy. I'm gonna post this song on on our Spotify on our chart today."
Yeah.
And I was on like the DJ booth top 100 or top 20 independent artists at one point, and like me and Wale were on the same chart. I'm like, this is insane
Yeah.
to me.
It's crazy too, because that was pre the whole playlisting thing. Because now a lot of it is like you're trying to get on the Spotify playlist, the Apple Music playlist. That wasn't even a thing back then. It was just
Correct.
the blogs were where you found all the music. And I miss Two Dope Boys, man. That was my page. That was where I found a lot of different artists back when I was in middle school and high school and things like that. So I really wish they would have at least kept the site like live, because I don't even think the site is live anymore, at least
Yeah,
from what
some
I
of that
know.
stuff is they didn't archive it and they didn't
Yeah.
keep the servers up, and so like I try to go back and every now and then I don't know why I try to go back and find that article, that smoking section article,
Yeah, it's
and I'm like I don't
gone.
think it even exists anymore
Yeah,
because
even like Dat Piff is, I think, just like done at this current point in time. I think they were talking about trying to restructure it to make it more like a streaming platform eventually. But I've heard like crickets from that whole thing over the last probably 5 years. So I almost
yeah
wonder if they're not coming back either, which is interesting. But that was just such an important time in like hip hop music in general, and it definitely will never happen again, unfortunately. But
Yeah,
Oh,
that used to be a badge of honor. You was like, I broke that pit. People were like, oh yeah,
yeah,
I put the mixtape up. Wayne broke that piff again.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. It was what, like the
it
dedication
was a
series, I
crazy time,
think.
man. And people
Yeah,
were dropping it was almost any day of the week you would like could find
yep,
like a new project that hit the internet, and like it was like a buzz and people were talking about it.
yeah,
And I miss the communal aspect of it. I mean, as much as social media is connecting human beings, it wasn't like it was when the blog aired. Like you could go to a drop on DJ Booth and then see the album, be listening to the album, and go down and be a part of this larger chat that was happening
mm,
in real time. And I feel like things drop, and so many things drop so often. And that's another thing that's changed. Like I don't feel like there's a. I mean, Wayne was prolific back then because
yeah,
it was like, oh my God, he's dropping 3 mixtapes in a single year, or he's dropping 4 mixtapes in a year. But now it seems like people are constantly dropping singles, constantly dropping music
mm,
videos, and the barrier of entry is so
low.
small now because of the different DSP distribution outlets like DistroKid and TuneCore. Like you can put out a project and have it live in almost 3 days from
Yeah,
when you finished it. So people don't really have a lot of time to process and digest things. They're like, what's the new trending thing that I can be a part of, and they move on. Like some of these blog uh, projects lived on forever. I feel like that Big Crit album had maybe come out and it'd been out for like months, and I was still listening to it because
yeah,
of like just there wasn't this other conversation that was supposedly being had about this next thing that came out by this next artist, or even if it was like it things held your attention for much longer. I
yeah.
feel like it didn't feel as microwave as things do these
I
days.
definitely agree, and I think kind of another word or phrase for that would just be it held the focus more. Like your focus was on that artist or those couple artists because that was kind of all you knew too, which is interesting. I definitely remember. I think the biggest one I remember is I'm not a huge Meek Mill fan, but I remember the Dream Chasers 2 drop and how big that was, and like everybody was talking about it, and that was a whole DatPiff thing right there where I think the site crashed and everything. Um, but yeah, that was a time, man, for sure. And I guess kind of like paralleling or like piggybacking off of that, oversaturation, feeling like you got to put out music all the time. For you personally, how are you approaching that in what you do? Because I feel like you're someone that you don't throw music out all the time. I feel like you are very intentional with, whether it's the group stuff you do or the solo stuff you do, you're very intentional with like saying, this is what I'm doing and focus on this at this moment. So how do you approach that as an artist right now?
I feel like the I was at one point consumed with the pressure of trying to drop. At least I try to drop once a year, a full length project once a year, and maybe try and sprinkle in some singles here and there. And then I realized it was really around the pandemic. I was like, I don't really need to do this as often as I thought I did. Like it was I guess a shift in perspective because like we had all this time, and I had a project that I was sitting on because I was like, I want to play this project for the world. But I was like, people won't get the full appreciation for it if I'm not out. Because I was a guy who played the music before I ever recorded the music. That's a weird process. I feel like today a lot of people make stuff, put it out, and then they learn to perform afterwards.
Hmm.
I started off at open mics, so for me to not be performing new songs before I actually start recording or putting them out into the world was a strange affair. But I try to keep it to where I can have like a cycle going on. So like I may take a break from doing the solo TINO stuff so that I can do the Safe Money group stuff.
Hmm.
And then if Safe Money's not doing something, then I'll go back to the TINO stuff, or I may do a collaboration with another band, or I'm actually starting a new project called Creatures and Clouds. And so I'm like, I've always got, even though I don't have to be specific about the one thing, I can switch over to and put on another hat
Yeah.
and do this other thing. So now it gives that other thing time to breathe. And people who uh, people, I feel like there's a longing or desire for you to come back, and you can build up anticipation because people get sick of you, man. I feel like I get on the internet and I love all my friends and stuff like that. I'm like, man, how do you post 4 videos a day like that? I get it. But and maybe that's needed to drive the algorithm, but it's just never been something. I come from that era where guys were able to put out a project and not have to worry about did they feed the streets uh, again 3 months later.
Yeah. It's interesting too, because like I feel like it keeps the creative process fun and fresh too for you, even outside of like all the content and like what is the expectation from the fans or just the algorithms or whatever. It's like it keeps it to where you're able to create in a way that makes it feel good, and not something where it's like because if all that pressure's on you, obviously it's going to affect the art too, which is never the goal. You don't want that to ever happen. So I think for you, it's good to hear that you've been able to find kind of a good balance there, and obviously it's always shifting too. So being able to kind of adapt as it goes is a big thing as
Yeah, you
well.
touched
So
on it. That was like that. That's another thing. It's like being able to. Okay, I can shift off of doing Tino stuff. I put out an album. I put out an album called "Never Worried About Tomorrow," and I felt like it was the culmination of all the things I'd been trying to do as a solo artist. And then I was able to say, I don't need to make another Tino album for a while now.
mhm.
I can now switch over and do some safe money stuff that is feels fun and fresh. I can go back and forth with my homie K Carter,
Yeah.
and we can be in a room and do something collaboratory that I would not have gotten if I was just by myself in that same room.
Yeah.
And then likewise, oh, okay, now we've got the save money stuff together. Now I can work with DJ Martin over in France, and we can work on this project. And this has got more of a boom bap style. I haven't revisited this style in probably about a decade, so this is very cool to be doing something fresh. And now, okay, my juices are going. I got my writing hat is on. I can shift back into doing some Tino stuff. Or maybe we'll make it weird this time. We'll do Midwest Sorrow, which is like a infusion of some emo elements of music that I've always loved, but never really could like explore because I was like, I'm doing the Tino thing now. But like, it's like, okay, we took a long enough break. Now we can come back and do something
Yeah.
a little bit strange, more singing on each track than I've ever done. So like, it just the ability to stagger them or do them in different pockets, and like you said, it makes it a more fresh experience every time I come back to doing something.
Yeah, and the
And
possibilities are endless too, which is great.
yeah, I
So
don't get burned out because
yeah,
people burn themselves out trying to like because it's like if you're making, and I think you have to live life. People don't give themselves enough time to like experience new things before they're trying to put out another project. So that project sounds a lot like the project that you put out before because
yeah,
you have not changed your perspective in this life. So unless you're doing something that's conceptual or something that is avant-garde or completely different from what you're doing, then you're not giving anybody any kind of change because your life is the same as it was almost 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago.
yeah. That's exactly where you draw the inspiration from in the first place is just your normal day-to-day life. So I think that's super vital. I definitely wanted to ask you about that collab with DJ Martin. How did you guys get connected? Because you just said he lives in France.
Yeah,
Uh,
he lives in France.
yeah.
He lives in Rennes, originally from Paris,
Okay.
and um, he messaged me. He found my music on SoundCloud, and I mean not SoundCloud. He found my music on Bandcamp, and he sent me an email. I thought it was a scam, a Nigerian Prince scam, because the English was a little bit broken, and the the English was a little broken. The grammar was a little weird, but he was like, "Hey, I have a little label over here. I like to send you a beat. Maybe we could do something. I heard your music on Bandcamp. I like it. I would like to send you something." I was like, okay. It was during the pandemic. I was like, I'm trying not to be cynical. This is like, I'm gonna trust this guy. If he sends me a beat, he sends me a beat. If not, I'm not out of anything because you get offers all the time from artists or people like, oh, let's collab or let's do this thing, and then
Yeah.
if you respond back and then it falls through, they ghost you or something
Mhm.
like that happens. I was like, what's the worst that can happen? I'm here. I'm trapped in the house. Let's see. he sends me an instrumental. At that time, I'm working on another project. I think it was Midwest Sorrow I was working on at the time. So I would go in, do my sessions for Midwest Sorrow, and then I would then add on whatever beat he had sent me. I sent him the what I the finished product of what I thought the song should sound like. He's like, man, this is good, bro. I'm gonna send you another one. He sent me another one, or he sent me a couple of beats, and I choose one, and then I choose one. I send it back to him. He's like, bro, he's like, this is so good. We gotta make EP. I'm gonna send you a few more. We can put together an EP, and the EP really changed my life because due to that, I was able to go over to France. I got a grant through Culture Works here in Montgomery County. They sent me over to France to make a follow-up album with Martin and learn some production techniques from him. Because I was at the time I was aspiring to like try and get into the production side myself. I still dabble a little bit, but I don't really like. I work with so many great producers like Don Johnson, Mark Deezer. I work with the band Creatures of Clouds. They cook up on the spot. So it's like I just have to do the thing that I do best, which is the MC side of it. And I've pretty much been really blessed to be gifted with a lot of talented people who do the instrumentation side for me.
That answered my question about like how you guys took that album cover in person, because I was like, if he's in France, how did you take the photo? Because it's you guys on the cover.
We were out at Mount Saint Michel and in over there in Burgundy, over in Normandy, when we took that photo. Nice. So like that's why the album's called Rose in the East, because Catholic cathedrals face eastward, so that when the sun rises, it makes it so that the minister who's on the podium looks like majestic or looks glorious, and so it helps the make them portray this holiness about themselves. So it's called Rose in the East because I literally woke up in the East in Europe, but also because we took that picture at Mount Saint Michel, and it was like and it's also like it's called right, because it was like a rite of passage. This music helped me get on a pilgrimage over to a foreign land, so it has a lot of meanings to it. But one of those reasons is that's why we took the picture at Mount Saint Michel.
Well, I bet you never thought that when he sent that email that was going to lead to that. You know
no,
what I mean?
You never do. So. And that's one of those things that made me a firm believer in you trust in people and you trust in the art. If I don't answer it back, and I go, I'm too cynical because things have fallen apart for me before with producers and stuff like that. I'm too cynical to answer the email back. Then I don't get this life-changing experience. Yeah. So it's one of those things. I played while I was over there, I got to play 4 different shows. I got to play in Nantes, I got to play in Paris, I got to play in Rennes. Like, it's just incredible experience. I got to see the Eiffel Tower with my own eyes, got to go to the Arc de Triomphe and all of these different areas, and and by foot a lot of the time too, which my American body was not really used to. I think in 11 days or 13 days, we walked 111 miles or something like that, because that's just how you get around.
Yeah.
And just experiencing their culture was like a phenomenal change for me, and just the way I think about the world.
Yeah. Well, shout out to DJ Martin for taking that leap of faith and sending that email. So that's awesome.
My guy, Martin.
Yeah.
Martin.
And bringing it back home to Dayton, obviously we were talking about Safe Money earlier with Kate Carter. How did you guys kind of decide to do like a duo or create a duo? Because you guys have obviously collabed a lot. So was it just from like saying, oh, we collab a lot, let's just like do this little side project and kind of
the Safe Money thing was actually our first collaboration. Kevin had played shows together. I booked him for shows. He's booked me for shows. And we've been booked on similar shows since I want to say 2015 or maybe even before that, because I know we played One Eye Jacks together. So it might have had to been like 2014. But we were at E-Man Jones's album listening party, I want to say in 2019. And he was like, hey, man, I want to show you some stuff I got cooking. So I hop in his whip, and he plugs in the aux, and he plays his latest thing. I was like, oh, I got something. Let me show you something I've been working on. Boom, I play him a little something. And then he's like, man, that's fire. He's like, let me play. And so we were going back and forth. I was like, man, we should probably have one song at least together. We've known each other for years
Yeah.
now. Let's do something. And then he was like, all right, cool. I'll come to your crib. And then he came to the crib and we worked on one song. And it's kind of like with Mark. I was like, we working on one song. It was taking shape so well. I was like, let's throw it on another beat. And then that progressed. And then by the third song, I was like, man, okay, we probably can't just call this Tino and K Carter. We need to like give this its own thing now. It's becoming its own thing, the way that we're collaborating and doing something that's like akin to what we do, but it's also a merger of our styles. And he was like, I'm with that. Let's do it. So then we we threw back and forth ideas on the name back and forth, but we ended up on Safe Money because it felt like we wanted it to sound and be in the same kind of vein as like State Property and what was Biggie's group, Junior Mafia. We wanted it to be in that, like, it had that 90s style aesthetic to it as far as the sound, way it sounds.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like almost like because you guys knew each other for so long too, it probably made that process a lot easier, like just to kind of fall into it. Because I feel like if you just met him, it wouldn't have been the same. At least not like right out of the gate. You know what I mean?
No,
So,
no, for sure. It was a level of chemistry there that it even was surprising to us, the level of chemistry we had when we worked on that first project.
Yeah.
But even though we had been friends for a while, but it still was, because I knew him. We kind of trusted each other, and we were able to do something that we probably would not have been able to create on our own. Because the songs, like I had kind of the hook for Mimosas from the very beginning, which was probably like the most popular Safe Money song. I had the hook for it, but also I had maybe half the hook for it. I didn't know the rest of it. And then like he kind of helped me fill in the gaps, and we were able to like come up with this like really cool song that paid homage. It was such a fun song that the guy who produced it, Rizzo, up in Columbus, he operates the now I'm forgetting the name of the studio, but he operates the studio up that way, and he produced the entire record. He heard us come. We came and recorded it with him there, and he was like, "Whoa, this is really too good for the way that I made this track in 2012." So I'm going to go re-record and replay everything. Yeah. So he replayed everything, and he elevated the song to another level, because he had, at that point, I think he had another 8 or 10 years of playing under his belt. So he was like even more incredible on like the bass and the keys and stuff like that. So it was one of those things. It's like, okay, this was meant to be, because otherwise I don't think I don't make a song good enough that he goes back and he's like, I need to just replay this whole thing to make this sound exactly where it needs to go.
Wanted to take a quick minute out of today's episode to let you guys know of a way that you can support the show, a way that you can donate some funds to us, starting at as little as $5 or more via our Ko-fi page. Now, we've been using Ko-fi now for a few years, and it's been a very effective way to generate some funds that we end up using for, future guests, sponsors, just an overall way to keep this show as quality as it has been for the last several years, and we always appreciate any and all contributions. So if you go to ko-fi.com/The Proven Knowledge Podcast, that's ko-fi.com/The Proven Knowledge Podcast, you can donate, like I said, $5 or more. It gives you that option to do 10, 20, 30, or just type in whatever amount. Any contributions are appreciated, and I do this show from the bottom of my heart for the love of it at the end of the day, but those funds are always welcome, because they do allow us to do more and be more flexible with how we continue to grow this platform in the future. So I just wanted to let you guys know about that. The link will be in the description of the show notes of this episode you're listening to now, so definitely check it out. But without further ado, let's get back into the episode. It's crazy too, because you're saying the original idea was from 2012, so it's like, who would have thought it would make it to that point from being made all the way back in 2012? Because a lot of people, I've done this too, like if I feel a beat is just not going anywhere, I'll just kill the idea. But it's like, sometimes you don't want to kill the idea because you never know where it's going to end up one day.
Yeah,
So
he had a folder of beats, and he was like,
yeah,
"Hey man, you like pick something out of here, pick a song or something out of here." And I was like, he, I kind of wasn't feeling the ones that he had up, and like I was like, he's like, "Whoa, you're going way too far back." And I was like, "Well, let me check this one out." And he was like, I was like, "Well, yeah." He's like, "That was a good one." He's like, he's like, I see you could do something with this. I think he was like, "Well, let me open this one up there. I think you could do something with this." Because he's like, other rappers probably straight away, because it had too much of a funk sensibility to it,
yeah,
that he was like, I think you could do something with this. And I got it from him, bought it from him. And then I kind of sat on it for a while. And it just so happened that we were playing beats for each other as a part of this collaboration. And I was like, let me crack this one open, see what you think about this one. And it ended up being like, because we are in Dayton, Ohio, which is we consider the birthplace of funk, because we have the major hitters like Zap, Slade, Ohio players, Dayton, what's the Lakeside, are all from this area. So all that G funk that you hear from the West Coast is sampled from here in Dayton, Ohio. But we don't really, a lot of artists in the area don't embrace that sound. So here we were with this funk styling beat that the city was able to like gravitate towards. The music scene was like, oh, this is what the scene has been missing as far as like hip hop in the area goes, because a lot of us don't adopt the roots that are from this area.
yeah. Well, I think it's just an example of, right place, right time, and the right people involved in the song to kind of make it all come together. So that's a great story, man. And as far as like, what is next for you? Because obviously, I think you just dropped a solo song in June. Is there anything you can reveal for, I guess, the rest of the year that is coming out that you want to let people know about?
I'm still working on. I'm working on a couple TINO things. I've been working on for about 2 or 3 years now. A project called "They Gotta Face It." It's a project that I've been working on. That is supposed to be like more modern in style, but it's actually using a lot of different styles, and it has it's just like one of those. It's like not braggadocious in its nature, but it's almost like a flex, because it's like, look at the different facets of what I can do.
Hmm.
So you got to face that, like, there's not a lot of people out here like this. But as time goes on, the less interested I become in like that particular style of doing things.
Hmm.
But I've been working with this band. It's called Creatures and Clouds. My guy David, from this band called Abertooth Lincoln, and the homie Poppy, who's been a drummer for. He was drummer for a major act for a long time. He's also doing drums, and we're working on doing some stuff that is kind of like in the key of what Mimosas is. It's got like funk and jazz and neo soul elements to it. So it's kind of like, it's like, think like Anderson Paak, but like what we're singing. But that's what we're working on now. That's what I'm working on now. We played our first show back in June. I want to say, yeah, it was in June we played our first show. But right now I'm just releasing a series of singles of songs, because it's like I don't want to sit on a bunch of music for forever. So you got last month, you got the No Island joint, and then the month before that I put out a song called The People, or People 2, which is paying homage to Common's song The People,
Hmm.
which Kanye West produced. And it was just, and his take, he was talking more about the black people and the struggle that they face on a day to day. And I kind of took The People 2 as an unofficial sequel. We talked about the people, the plight of immigrants, trans people, and women in America. So that's just trying to pay homage and put myself in the shoes of other people that I necessarily am not. I'm not experiencing their plight, so this is more of a empathetic thing that I got going on.
Yeah, yeah. Putting your what do they say? You put yourself in the other person's shoes.
Correct.
Yeah, something like that. So that's incredible, man. But the last few questions, these are life related ones. These are ones I ask on every single episode. And the first one is, if you could go back 10 years ago, maybe give yourself any piece of advice, or maybe not change anything at all, what do you think you would do?
If I would go back, and I would tell myself to be more, actually to accept failure as a gift. I feel like, and people say it all the time, like, what was it, Michael Jordan got cut from that eighth grade team,
Oh
and then he
yeah.
became a hooper, and then he became the best hooper alive. And then
Mhm.
Thomas Edison said he didn't find a thousand ways not to make a light bulb. He found a thousand. I mean, he found a thousand ways how not to make a light bulb, not how to fail.
Yeah.
And I feel like back then I was more afraid of failure than I should have been, and I was more worried about how people would perceive the losses, and so I shied away from collaboration and stuff because I was like, okay, I don't want to fail in front of people, and I don't want to take this loss and have it derail what it is I'm doing. But sometimes, like the biggest wins I've ever gotten happened because I had failed at something prior to that. Being willing to try to collaborate with a friend of mine for a number of years and having him do all of my audio and mixing and stuff like that. Then our friendship fell apart. It failed. And then it taught me that I needed to be more self sufficient. So I learned how to mix and master my own project after that. And then from that, I learned that I don't ever want to do that again.
Mhm.
So I'm now going to work with people like I was talking about, like Rizzo from Dreamcatcher Studio. I remember the name of the studio. So I worked with him, and that opened the door to me being able to do stuff like, because of what I was doing, people started to be paying more attention to the sound that I was like. People asked me, "How did you get the sound like this?" Oh, I was going up to Columbus to work with this one particular guy, or who made the beat for Mimosas is like this one particular guy. And if our friendship doesn't fall apart, I don't get to these particular stepping stones. So not accepting failure as a gift, and being more open to not being successful at things so that you can then get to the point where you are successful at things. They're just stepping stones that you need to
Yeah.
follow. So I would go back and tell myself to be more acceptive. I mean, be more open to taking the L.
Yeah. And I think even like every time you fail, no matter what, you get some type of lesson from it. So it's like, it's up to you to do something with the lesson or not do it. I think what happens is people fail and then they get taught a lesson, but they don't learn anything from it. And then they blame the failure on like why everything shifted the way that it did. But it's like if you took that lesson and you did something with it and then applied it and then shifted to something better, you'll look at it totally differently. You know what I mean?
Correct.
So I think it's all about perspective too, and like kind of combining the two ideas together. So it's good to hear that that's been the experience for you in
Yeah.
your journey. So
Because I've seen a lot of guys, I've seen a lot of talented people who, man, they took one loss, and then that was it for them. It was like, I'm hanging it up, and I'm like, you were way better than I ever was. And I feel like if I've made it this far, and I've suffered some losses, maybe not to the extreme that they did, but like, it's still, I feel like failure derails, the fear of failure derails more careers than failing at the thing has ever done.
yeah, because all you got to do is keep going. You know, if you just keep going, you'll keep seeing the
Persistence
wins.
is super key.
Yeah, 100%. And we usually flip that question then and we say 10 years from now, where do you think you envision yourself? Obviously in music, but life overall too.
10 years from now, I hope that I am somewhere closer to not being reliant on my current 9 to 5.
Hmm.
But I also just want to see more parts of the world. I will hope in 10 years from now, I will have seen Japan. I will have gone to some place in South America to just have more experiences. Later in life, like, we get a lot of things, and things are cool, but like the experiences in life, like France taught me, the experiences in life are more rewarding than, say, the wardrobe or any apparel that you can have. Like, it just means a lot more to carry that experience with you somewhere. So I would like to have done a lot more world traveling by the time 50 years from now. I also would like to have done some more world traveling and played places across the world. Like maybe if to play in Japan, because I know they have a great hip hop scene out
Hmm.
there, and I'd like to see the band become a bigger thing. The stuff that we're doing is very exciting, so I hope the band is still playing 10 years from now. So
Yeah.
that'd be really cool,
Yeah.
and to be able to just transition from just your typical MC into like a more all around, well rounded musician.
Yeah. Being very multifaceted, and I think that's something you're doing now that's going to keep evolving over time. And then what you just said, I think goes back to what we were talking about earlier about how the inspiration from real life is what drives the music. So it all kind of goes hand in hand at the end of the day. So the more traveling you do, more experiences you have, then you're going to put that into the music in the future. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, that's awesome. And before we get out of here, do you have any final words of wisdom for the listeners today?
Final words of wisdom, man. Like I think we touched on it earlier with the failure thing. I mean,
Mm.
just keep going. Like, it breaks my heart to think about. Like, I've been playing music, and I consider it be professionally because I got my first gig I got paid for was in 2011. So, like, I've been doing stuff as a paid musician for 15 years now, and I feel like I've seen so many talented people just turn back. And I just want you to know that it's just a matter of time, and also expectations. Keep your expectations. Always have a goal in mind, but don't let the expectations or what you believe should be. We put ourselves on these schedules, these clocks that we think, oh, and I used to do the same thing when I was in my 20s. I used to think, oh, if I'm rapping at 30, I'm probably gonna hang it up. And it's like I didn't even get really good until I got 30.
Yeah.
Like and now I feel like I would wash the old version of the younger version of me. I look back at the younger version of me and I see the level of passion that they had and the pure hunger, and I'm envious of that. But as far as technical merit and the ability to write and song structure and understanding the elements of music, I'm far superior than my younger self. But going back, it's just like if I didn't continue to persist, I would never have reached the point that I feel as confident in my skills as I do now. Because before, I used to think I was really just a very lucky person to have. I used to think I was getting lucky when I would write a song that people would enjoy, but it's really just a matter of continuing on and just never giving up, like being willing to fail and then scrap those songs. I'm like, oh, well, this one is not a song that I don't like the song, and I don't think anybody else is going to like the song, and
Mm.
we'll put this on the back burner, like you said, like we'll get rid of this one. But if you don't keep going, you don't ever realize that it's not just a matter of luck or a matter of being fortunate. It's a matter of repetition, and it's a matter of consistency that allows you to have a productive output that can then eventually get you to places where you never thought. Of course, I would have loved to have been a signed artist. Well, I thought back then I wanted to be a signed artist, but music took me overseas. Music has taken me to multiple states to play music. Music has allowed me to be in commercials, have my music in commercials, has allowed me to appear on TV and in the newspapers and on the radio. And I never would have thought any of that was possible without a music deal prior to um, me understanding that it's really just about continuing on and keeping going. So I just want to give any artists out there who, because if you're not really an artist if you don't second guess yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you think all the time that everything you're doing is rainbows and sunshine, then you may be delusional. But I want to tell you now to keep going and keep having that faith in yourself, and you will eventually get to a place where you belong. It may
Yeah.
not be the place that you sought out to go in originally, but it'll be a place that is an enriching and fulfilling place.
Yeah, for sure. And I think in a world where everybody's kind of looking for answers from other people and like looking for the roadmap from what everybody else is doing, I think we can find a lot of the answers within ourselves that we might not think of. And I think that's exactly what that echoes. And man, I gotta say, I think you've been doing it, and I think you're gonna keep doing it moving forward. And I'm definitely excited to see now that we're officially tapped in. I'm excited to see what's going to be coming from here on out, man. But I want to say thanks again for joining, and I know we're gonna probably do a part 2 eventually too, man. It's gonna be great to kind of
I
catch up and see
appreciate you
what's going
having me
on.
on the
So
show, man, and
yeah,
it's been a real pleasure. And I look forward to like coming back or just linking up and doing some because I'm excited to hear more about what you got cooking up for the Ohio side.
for sure, man. And Dayton's not like it's not close to me, but it's in a distance where I need to get down there. I need to get down there.
Ohio's a
So
weird place because it's like
it is.
every place is like no matter where you at, it's almost like 4 hours at least at minimum or maximum distance from to get to that place.
Yeah.
So that's not a huge it's not a big gap, but it is a considerable amount of time
Yes.
because I've been up to Youngstown and Canton, and I lived in Cleveland. I grew up in Cleveland, so I make that trip every now and then to go see moms or whatnot. So it can be a little arduous, but it's always worth it.
Ohio is an anomaly, but we figure it out. We figure it out. So, but thank you again, man. Thanks for stopping by.
Absolutely.
Just want to say thank you for tuning in today. Be sure to hit that coffee link in the description of this episode if you'd like to donate any funds. And we'll see you back here with another new episode next week. As always, thank you for your support.